That's followed by the Moscow Evening News.
You are watching the evening news of Radio Television Serbia. Good evening. President of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, Slobodan Milošević, awarded medals to members of Air Force and Air Defense who, during the first days of the NATO attack on our free country and free-minded citizens, demonstrated great courage. President of the Republic and Commander-in-Chief Slobodan Milošević met today with the Commander of Air Force and Air Defense, Lieutenant General Spaso Smiljanić. Minister of Defense Pavle Bulatović, Lieutenant Colonel Dragoljub Ojdanić, and Lieutenant Colonel Slavoljub Šušić, who is the head of the military cabinet, met with General Smiljanić as well. President Milošević issued an executive order awarding medals to members of Air Force and Air Defense who expressed great personal courage and commitment during the first days of NATO attack on our country. When talking about honored pilots, President Milošević said that without any hesitation they defended our country against much stronger enemy. Their courage and commitment are true examples of how to protect and defend the freedom of people and country. In this first stage of this struggle, the units who were first to respond were those of Air Force and Air Defense, who demonstrated they were worthy of the freedom-loving traditions of our people, and also expressed courage, commitment, and self-initiative in implementing their duties. The following officers were awarded the Medal of Courage: First Class Captain Radosavljević Zoran, Major Pilot Milutinović Predrag, Major Pilot Nikolić Nebojša, Major Pilot Perić Slobodan, Major Pilot Arizanov Iljo, and Lieutenant Colonel of Artillery Unit Nikolić Darko. A great Medal of Honor was awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Malinović Sreto, a pilot. Commander-in-Chief issued an order commending Air Force General Gruj Nikola, who is the Chief of Staff of Air Defense Corps. At the same time, the officers to whom the medals were awarded were also promoted into higher ranks in accordance with the order of Commander of Air Force and Air Defense, Lieutenant General Smiljanić. Slobodan Milošević received a personal message from the President of People's Republic of China, Jiang Zemin, concerning the NATO aggression on our country. The message of President Zemin stressed that our people and army are carrying out a difficult and rightful struggle to defend sovereignty and integrity of our country, which was subjected to flagrant NATO attack led by United States. Chinese people expressed strong support to peoples of Yugoslavia. President Zemin condemned the policy of force, hegemonism, and policy of guns, which is becoming dominant in the world. China adamantly requested the NATO aggression against Yugoslavia be terminated. At the same time, China will continue its efforts in the international community to bring this aggression to the end. This was stated in the personal message addressed to President Milošević by Chinese President Zemin. President Milošević also had a long telephone conversation with the President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, who placed a call to President Milošević. Mr. Lukashenko stressed that Belarus strongly condemns NATO aggression against Yugoslavia, who is a sovereign and independent country, which poses a direct threat to peace and stability in the world and Europe and violates the international law order. President Lukashenko expressed solidarity and deep support of people from Belarus to the people of Yugoslavia, whom all freedom-loving people in the world are admiring. Mr. Lukashenko Lukashenko stressed that faced with the NATO aggression, people of Yugoslavia are not only defending their own freedom and dignity, but also interests of the people of Europe, justice and law, as it has always done in the past. This is why Yugoslavia and its leadership deserve support and assistance in their struggle against NATO. President Milosevic thanked for these words of support and assistance and stressed that Yugoslavia shall decisively defend itself from NATO aggression and once again prove that people who are fighting for their freedom and dignity may not be conquered. From the beginning of NATO aggression against our country, President of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and Commander-in-Chief Slobodan Milosevic has been receiving numerous letters and telegrams expressing support and solidarity with our people and with our country. In the thousands of telegrams and letters, the citizens of Canada, United States, and other countries are expressing disbelief that such a crime can be committed against a country on the eve of the 21st century. The telegrams are reiterating admiration and respect with respect to Serbian people and all citizens of Yugoslavia who are determined to defend the honor and dignity of their country. The government of Serbia is continuously in session analyzing the implementation of orders concerning the emergency state of war. It was determined that all public organizations, government institutions, medical and economic organizations are fulfilling their tasks with full cooperation from citizens. The government will continue to take all necessary measures in order to defend people and the country from this criminal aggression. The government analyzed preparation for the beginning of the farming and planting season and concluding that all the preparations are being carried out in accordance to the plans. Also, there are sufficient supplies of seed, fuel, and fertilizers. The planting of sugar beets is successfully underway. Planting of sunflower has begun, and also the preparations are underway for planting the corn. In order to maintain a current supply of goods and maintain current level of prices, the government has issued relevant measures. Inspection teams are charged with stabilizing the tobacco market. The government has concluded that the supply of energy is stable and that the sale of gas is carried out in accordance with the established priorities. Members of Air Force and Air Defense have shot down 7 planes, 3 helicopters, over 30 cruise missiles, and 3 unmanned crafts. This was stated at the press center of Yugoslav Army by the Lieutenant General Spaso Smiljanic, a commander of Air Force and Air Defense, who reiterated that the country must be defended regardless of the cost. A criminal aggression is carried out against the country and the people that never acted as aggressors and does not threaten anyone now. The only reason for this attack was the determination of our people to defend the honor, dignity, territorial integrity, historic heritage, and the future of their country. The purpose is not to diminish the military abilities, but to put their foot in for further expansion towards the east. This is NATO's goal. In their aggression against Serbian people, the aggressor has calculated everything, but they have miscalculated the determination of Serbian people and the readiness of Serbian army to defend their homeland regardless of the sacrifices and regardless of the cost that will ensue. NATO has engaged about 430 planes, out of which 330 combat planes. Until 8 o'clock this morning, they have carried out over 1,300 sorties and launched over 400 cruise missiles on our country. Until March 27, the target of this attack were military objects, and after March 27, the target were industrial facilities, public facilities, schools, hospitals, hospital and refugee camps. Over 1,900 tons of explosive was launched against our people, and the power of this explosive is equal to that of nuclear arms. In describing the planes that are being used in the aggression, General Veselinovic mentioned the Nighthawk, which came from New Mexico, never to fly again, which is a pity, said General Veselinovic, for had it come as a friendly aircraft to participate in an air show in Bajtanica airport, it would still be flying today. The aggressor caused minimal damage to Air Force and air defense. All systems of air defense are operational without significant losses. Significant destruction was caused to stationary objects, to infrastructure of air defense. Air defense and Air Force was ready for this aggression on our country, on Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. There were no strategic nor tactical surprises for us. Good planning and full implementation of the plans during the preparatory stage, Air Force and air defense responded to enemy attacks in all areas immediately following their crossing into our territory. Bravery of all members of Air Force and air defense in this beginning stage, especially the bravery of combat pilots, shall be admired by generations of Serbian and Montenegrin people. Brutality of enemy attacks did not confuse the members of Air Force and air defense. On the contrary, the weaknesses of the enemy tactics were noticed quickly. Our own weaknesses were corrected, and the results followed. And the results were the following. As I have said, minimal losses of human resources and military technology of Air Force and air defense. In view of the extremely uneven allocation of power in this aggression, we inflicted significant losses to aggressor. We have shot down 7 planes. I would like to especially stress the shooting down of F-117, which is the first plane to be shot down in the world. Don't ask me how we did it. We have also shot down 3 helicopters, over 30 cruise missiles, and 3 unmanned crafts. These are the results achieved by the forces of air defense, which are under my command. From what I have heard, Army Air Defense also achieved good results in their fight against the aggressor, but I'm sure that the Army commanders will be informing you about this. Members of Air Defense and Air Force are well aware of what they were doing. At this time, Air Force and Air Defense has operational capabilities on the territory of the whole country. All subsystems are functioning fully, and the morale of the members of Air Force and Air Defense is very high. Russian Prime Minister Yevgeny Primakov will arrive into Belgrade tomorrow morning. Russian Foreign Minister Igor Ivanov stated that Russia will take additional measures in order to terminate NATO aggression. Following the orders of Russian President Boris Yeltsin, Mr. Primakov Marshal Sergeyev, who is the Minister of Defense, and Foreign Minister Ivanov are urgently arriving into Belgrade tomorrow morning in order to do what they can to stop the NATO aggression against Yugoslavia. Press Secretary of President Yeltsin, Sergei Kushin, stated that Mr. Yeltsin's decision is a continuation of Russian position that the crisis may only be solved through political methods. For Russia, any military solution is unacceptable. Minister Ivanov at the press conference stated that President Yeltsin did a very important step in order to stop the negative dynamic of this crisis, which is seriously threatening the security in Europe. Minister Ivanov stressed that there is an evidence of a close coordination between Albanian separatists and NATO forces based on Russian intelligence sources. NATO communication officers have joined the Albanian terrorist forces and are guiding NATO planes towards Serbian targets. Russian military staff cut off all of their relations with NATO, and Russian peacekeepers in Bosnia were ordered only to follow orders of the Russian general staff. At this time, it is not yet known how long the Russian delegation will stay in Belgrade, but it is known that they will travel to UN in New York after Belgrade. Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated today that Ukrainian President Leonid Kuchma will arrive into Belgrade in the following several days. At the same time, Moscow Mayor Lushkov has forbidden any demonstrations in front of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow in an attempt to prevent further violence and possible terrorist action. All the attempts by demonstrators to gather in front of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow today were not successful. Police completely blocked U.S. Embassy, and the vehicles were not allowed to stop near the embassy. In the middle of a large street in front of the U.S. Embassy, a line of policemen was guarding. The vessels of Russian North and Pacific Fleet have left for special maneuvers. Ministry of Defense of Russia refused to give further details on the location of the exercises which are to be carried out. These exercises will encompass military, artillery, missile, and Air Force operations. Aircraft carriers Admiral Kuznetsov and nuclear missile carrier Peter the Great, which are the largest of its kind in Russian fleet, have sailed into the sea today. Ramsey Clark, former Solicitor General and respected legal advisor in Kennedy and Johnson administrations, has arrived into Belgrade today at his own request, wishing to see the destruction that has taken place as a result of NATO aggression. Ramsey Clark visited the airport in Belgrade, Airport Surčin, which is known throughout the world as a civilian airport. However, the airport was targeted yesterday in the bombardment. Deeply concerned, Mr. Ramsey Clark wanted to know all the details on the attack on the civilian airport and visited all the damaged areas.
During
the first night of the enemy attacks on March 24th, the Technogas plant in Novi Sad was hit by the missiles. The upper part of the administrative building, as well as several manufacturing units, were destroyed during this attack. Mr. Clark wanted to know what does this plant produce, and he was told that it produced technical gases which are highly inflammable and dangerous for the environment. However, they have no military uses. During that night, during the attack, several workers were injured. Nearby, Novograd, a construction manufacturing plant, was also hit by the missiles. Nobody understands why this plant, which produces building materials, was classified as a military target. The factory, which produces insulation near Novi Sad, was also shelled in the attack. 104 workers were not able to come back to work. During the first night of the attack, 18 workers of this factory were injured, 8 of them seriously. Mr. Ramsey Clark was deeply concerned by what he saw, and with deep concern he listened to the director of this plant, who emotionally described the events that took place on March 24 during the attack. This is the elementary school Svetozar Marković in Novi Sad, which was damaged during shelling while the children had a physical education class. Luckily, none of the children were injured, they only sustained a shock. In Novi Sad hospital complex, Mr. Ramsey Clark met with George Janic, the director of the hospital complex, who described the effects of this aggression on the citizens of the city. Mr. Clark also visited Đura Đuknić, who is the worker of one of the plants that were damaged during the shelling. He worked in a night shift and was wounded during the attack. Last night and this morning, NATO aggressors carried out the so far most destructive attack on Kosovo and Metohija. Especially brutal were the attacks on Pristina, in which many civilian facilities and civilians were hit. Last night, NATO bombs hit many cities in Kosovo, targeting civilian objects and the population. The attack that was most brutal so far started around 10 p.m. last night. The efficient response of our air defense resulted in shooting down of one aircraft. Last night's attack also targeted almost all of the Serbian villages in the Pristina area. These villages have no military targets. For reasons that are known only to them, NATO aggressors shelled 5 Serbian villages. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, NATO missiles also hit the administrative building of the Ministry of Interior in Pristina. This building was being used to issue passports and IDs to the civilians in Pristina. Also, nearby civilian buildings were hit. Enemy missiles also hit the housing complex of the refugees and the underprivileged. We were here and we are from Kosovo and we will never give up Kosovo. They're nothing but ruthless trash. There are 12 of us. Where are we going to live now? There are 6 adults and 6 grandchildren. I have 6 grandchildren. This is not Albania, this is Kosovo. Nobody can take it away from us. Medical clinic was also damaged, as well as the shopping center Boro and Ramis. At the same time as the NATO aggression was being carried out, Albanian terrorists in a synchronized manner attempted to attack the security forces and the civilians. Their attack was neutralized. Another evidence of a cooperation between NATO and Albanian terrorists is the latest attack by Albanian terrorists to enter our territory from Albania. There were 40 to 50 members in this Albanian terrorist group. They were fully armed with the latest military equipment. This group tried to enter the country simultaneously with the fiercest attack on the border battalion in Đakovica. 13 terrorists were killed during their attempt to enter the country, and the rest of them escaped into Albania. All of the terrorists were wearing NATO uniforms. Based on their uniforms and equipment, we came to the conclusion that their goal was to keep attacking the military border patrols in order to provoke them and thus cause a much larger incident. In addition to fatigues, terrorist insignia of the Kosovo Liberation Army, we found NATO meals, satellite telephones, masks, 4 anti-armored rocket launchers, anti-tank mines, ammunition, grenade launchers, sniper and automatic rifles. Terrorists also had this American sniper with about 2-kilometer shooting range. It is called Grizzly Big Bore. It is manufactured in the United States. This is the bullet for the sniper. It had a very good aiming mechanism with the night vision. We also found the manuals, instructions for shootings, passports and photographs showing terrorists during their training in Albania. American and NATO arms, NATO meals and uniforms are clear evidence of the cooperation between NATO and the Albanian terrorists. Do you see NATO planes crossing the border here? Yes, we do that. We see them every night. They cross the border every night, every evening. Can the terrorists come in from Albania? No, it would be very difficult. We are watching carefully. We're very alert. Are you in a good physical shape? Yes, in an excellent shape. We do everything we can in order to protect our border. Day and night we are watching it, we are on the alert. Do you have time for any other activities once you go back? Yes, we occasionally have time to rest and to prepare ourselves to clean the arms. Do you talk to your parents? Yes, occasionally we can talk to them. Do you receive mail regularly? Yes, on every occasion they try to send us mail. Captain, in view of the NATO aggression of the air attacks, do you think that they can help the terrorists cross the border? I don't think they can do it, and the best proof is what you have shown here. We knock them down from the skies, we catch them on the land, so there are no problems. Are you doing a good job defending the border? Yes, there's no chance they would not be able to cross across the border. What would you like to say to your parents? I would like to tell them not to be concerned about us, and I would like to send a message to the parents and tell them that if they fight for Yugoslavia like their sons do, there will be no problems. With nothing else left, enemy propaganda has no option but to lie. Their lies are ruthless but unconvincing. When the crime cannot be justified, they try to cover up their atrocities. Yesterday, CNN and Sky Television were launching lies on the so-called humanitarian catastrophe in Kosovo. The footage shows refugees, the so-called refugees that are walking in the snow snow that melted about a month ago. Or they are showing the alleged refugees that are sitting on the grass, which is green as in the middle of the summer. We don't know whether the snow melts faster or the grass is greener on CNN. These refugees are shown first as being on the border between Kosovo and Montenegro, and then as being on the border between Kosovo and Albania. And on one footage they're showing snow in Montenegro, and then they're showing Montenegro without any snow. Do they think that their missiles hit only Serbian houses? Or can they show us one American who would not try to escape during the shelling? From the Macedonian border, reporters are stating that tens of thousands of Albanians are crossing into Macedonia, and this is supported by this footage. And then a few seconds later, on the same place, a journalist is talking to a humanitarian aid worker, and you can see that the border crossing behind him is completely empty. We are being told that 500,000 of Albanians are escaping from Kosovo into Macedonia. Those 500,000 Albanians are represented by this footage on the right, while only 10,000 people, shown on the picture on the left, are claimed by CNN to have attended yesterday's concert in downtown Belgrade.
Cette journée aura donc été marquée au Kosovo par un exode massif des populations albanaises devant la menace des milices serbes et des policiers soutenus par